Hi, and we are back to Fitness Junk Debunked. I'm Steph Iron Lioness here with my partner, Ron Dykstra.
Hey guys.
And our expert consultant in all things science, pretty much anything we don't know, Dr. Helen Coleus. Welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
The date today is Monday, October 26th, and today we're talking normalizing family movement. You're probably wondering what I mean by that. Well, growing up, I never really worked out with my family or saw my mom or father figure working out. What about you, Ron?
My dad never worked out. My mom would try to get into it once in a while later, but mostly with like pastimes, like skiing or something like that, rather than like a yearly thing.
Right. And there's 5 of you in your family, like brothers and sisters. Do you and your brothers or sisters do anything together regularly?
My elder brother and I were regular workout partners for 1 year at university, and so occasionally off and on before that. But and we played sport together and stuff like that. But no, not really with any of my other siblings.
Okay, or the whole mom, dad, not together.
No, mom, dad, not together. Family, not really doing family sport or whatever. You know what I mean?
All right, Helen, what about you?
No, like not as family. Like my parents, neither of them like worked out regularly or even like that. Even the thought of pastime stuff where we do like maybe we'll take the kids there, but they wouldn't partake. And then my siblings, there's 4 of us. So my older brother and I basically we had a weight area, like a workout room, and we shared it, but we never really in there together. And we did what did happen though is that we kind of followed each other. So my brother played certain sports, and then I followed him, and then my younger brother followed me, and then my younger sister followed us. So but we never did it together. Right. But there was kind of like a precedent.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure. Yeah.
So we're in a time where everything is changing, and even though everything is really uncomfortable with new COVID restrictions and not being able to do regular things, what we're finding is that there's opportunities to build better habits. So today we kickstarted our Better You in 60 program. So we have a cohort of people who are working on simple habits, but movement is one of those simple habits that I feel like needs to start at home with your kids. It should be something that's normal. It should be a habit that's normal. So today we're going to talk about normalizing family movement. And I think it starts with the word fitness. So I originally wanted to call this episode Normalizing Family Fitness, but Helen brought up a great point, and that is let's strip that down even simpler. So what is fitness?
Great question, and highly debatable question as well. On one hand, fitness might simply be the ability to do a task. On the other hand, it might be considered cardiovascular, cardiopulmonary fitness, and or positive or negative markers for disease type of thing. Like if you don't have symptoms of metabolic disease, that might be seen as a form of fitness, right? Being sick, being diabetic, what have you, that might be seen as a form of poor fitness or ill health. Okay. So that's a definition, but very debatable. Ellen?
Yeah, I think that it's a broad thing, and I think that it depends what area you're in. Like if you're an exercise physiologist, then it ends up being like your capacity to do specific types of exercise, cardiovascular fitness or strength or move like mobility. If you move to more of a medical kind of realm, then fitness is basically you not being sick is almost like the definition, and being able to and over like as you at different ages at different parts of your life, it's defined differently. So I think it's broad, but I think the general public thinks of fitness as like, can I run a mile or 5K right in a certain time? Like it tends to be more in the public, more of a cardiovascular thing. Now I think it's maybe more strength with CrossFit, but I think traditionally it's like fitness is like your ability to be able to run a certain distance in a certain time. Yeah. 100%. And that's why I think that fitness is a bad term, because it has a lot of weird perception issues where people are like, oh, this is what fitness is, and I don't do that.
Right.
Sure.
Right. So if we are to take the word fitness and maybe look at it as movement, because I totally agree with what you're saying. I also find that a lot of folks will try to go to the extreme end of fitness. So it's like, I need to get physically fit, so I need to do fitness.
Right.
So I need to be throwing up, I need to be sweating
Yeah.
profusely.
Right.
One thing as gym owners that we hear a lot with our intakes is, I need to get fit before I come to the gym. And this one is always like a pet peeve of mine. It's like, but we can help you. So why don't you come and start where you are? But
Yeah.
we've heard a lot of experiences from people where they've tried certain classes or certain groups and it hasn't been scaled down. They weren't comfortable or confident with technique, and they either hurt themselves or were too intimidated to stay consistent with it.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot in that right there. So if we are just to strip down fitness to basics and say it's movement, how do we then show the benefits of movement? What are the benefits of movement, and why is it important that we move daily?
I'm like, what? I'm like trying to figure out and the list is like so long. I think, well, like, especially in this environment right now, is like, there's all these psychological, like mental health aspects of fitness, which maybe doesn't come to mind right away for most people, is that you're just, that there's a lot of studies showing that this beginning a program where you're increasing how often you're moving improves your outlook and decreases depression.
That was my reason for getting into fitness in the first place.
Yeah.
Like, I was in an environment where I was stressed all the time as a child.
Yeah.
So in my teens, I got into team sports and anything that I could get into, basically to take me. So for me, it's always been mental health and feeling good. But I noticed
confidence, and it also there's an aspect of confidence that it plays into.
100%. But when I invite people to work out or to come try my gym, they do this thing that drives me crazy where I'm like, you should come to my gym. And they'll like grab their tummy, or they'll grab somewhere on their body that they don't like. Women will grab their arms and be like, yeah, because I need to get rid of this. And it's like, oh my gosh, I just want you to feel good and get benefits of feeling good.
But I think I feel like the fitness industry has been hijacked by this aesthetic part because it was easier to market. I think it's really easy to market. It was like, there's something wrong with you. Yeah. And I can fix it, and it tends to be an aesthetic thing because I feel like just the world we function in, versus I feel like that fitness has been hijacked by that perception that you need to do this to look better, versus you need to do this to feel better.
Yeah.
Right. Like I think that like people go to the gym, it's like, well, I don't need to lose weight. It's like, but all right. And I think, I'm not a huge fan of CrossFit for a lot of different reasons, but I think it's one they've normalized working out to get stronger.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
And also be injured, but that's a different story.
That's for a different podcast.
One thing about movement, the inertia / momentum element of it comes in as well. So if you move frequently, you tend to feel it's normal to move frequently. Yeah. You continue to move frequently. If you move infrequently, that tends to perpetuate itself as well. So like if you work out once a year, you're probably going to work out once a year. But if you're trying to move daily, then you are going to find that you have an ability to do that, to move in some fashion every day. This is what your body is designed for. It's
like not an adaptation, right? Like your body's like, oh, well, if you're going to ask this of me every day, I guess I should kind of need to sort things out to be able to do it every day, right?
Sure. And ultimately, isn't this at least part of what we want in terms of our sustainable good health? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the ability to continue to go back to just do those things that are everyday life tasks, and have ease in doing them.
Yeah, but I think the other part for me is I'm sure with you guys is I feel like you find stuff that you actually really like to do, and you're like, I'm doing this not because it's a workout. I'm doing this because it in itself, movement can and should be fun, right? It's like, and I think that's the other part of it. It feels like for a lot of people that movement is like just another chore or even a punishment.
Yeah.
And it's like no, I think there's, and that's the thing is with, if you start in with your family and when they're younger, is like you can expose them to so many different things, and you should be able to find the thing that you're like, I want to do it, not because it's gonna make me feel like mentally like, you know, out of my depression. It's like no, I'm compelled to want to do this thing because I enjoy doing it so much. And so I think, yeah, I feel like so many people like, oh, this movement thing I have to do. It's a chore. It's
Sure.
like, well, can we find something that you want to do?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And even the things that you want to do that are fun are sometimes challenging based on your mindset before you start.
Yeah.
So every time that you have those moments, and there's more of them now because things are a lot more challenging, where you don't feel like working out. There used to be this old saying in martial arts, just get through the door and do your warm
Yeah.
up. And it's like once you start, oh, you got a fence.
Depends.
There's some flies. Get rid of that. Yeah,
Take that out in post.
yeah, there's usually not a workout that you regret unless you've gone too hard and something's happened, like you should have stopped and needed one more rep. We hear that with injury, but usually with a light workout, just
Yeah.
moving, you usually feel better. Most people, especially our morning peeps, we have folks that train 9 a.m. on Zoom, and when they first train, they're half asleep. And by the time they're done at 7, they're like, wow, I feel so much better and I feel ready to get my, and it's like, you don't have to. So there's also some misconception with intensity and
Yeah.
frequency.
And
So,
then yeah, and then you're always gung ho to want to do it, like motivation. Like people who work out, like there's people who work out or who move frequently, is like, well, they're different. They're inherently different than I am. It's like no, like you said, I think I like, yeah, with that rule of just like, if I'm just gonna warm up and wherever this goes, it goes. And then I think like out of all the times I'm like, I don't want to do this workout, I think I've only like over the years maybe not like I just left the gym like maybe like 3 times, 5 times, or like, yeah, I'm done. Like, no, this is not getting any better. I'm just out of here.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I think on those occasions, it was probably a good choice. You know what I mean? Like a certain amount of
Oh,
auto
for sure.
regulation is probably a good idea, especially if you already know that you are someone who frequently exercises and does that because they want to. If you
Yeah.
then find yourself in a situation where you frankly just don't want to,
Like, nope.
there might be a good reason for you to head home.
so there is a balance in finding what your minimum is. So minimums
Yeah.
have helped me a lot in that if we're not the same every day, there's different things that take away from who we are daily. It could be a poor sleep.
Mhm.
It could be an argument with a loved one. It could be a situation with, there's lots of stresses happening in the world. I don't have to name them off, that we're all experiencing acutely this year. The idea that, oh, I can't go because I have to do this day on my program and it's a hard day, it's deadlifts.
Mhm.
But you should have a minimum that you can fall back to so you move anyway. So if that means
Sure.
coming into, well, not coming in now, but
Yeah.
talking to your coach over Zoom
Yeah.
or
Having
yourself in your own program and being like, okay, today I'm not 100%. So I'm just going to do my minimum, which is a 30-minute stretch that I have. So that part's important too, is having a minimum to fall back on when you don't feel like moving. And that's
Well, I
what,
think that what happens, right, is you always have this program that ramps up. So it's like first day you're like feeling pretty good, and maybe the first week you're doing everything you should be doing. It's like, you know what, I think I'm gonna add a walk. Like, okay, so you're doing half an hour walk every day, and then it ramps up and it ramps up, and it's like, okay, it's fine because you can handle it, but then something happens in your life, and then what happens is there's no way to de-escalate, for lack of a better word, and so then you're like, I stop everything.
yeah.
See,
Because there's no plan. There's no plan. I think so. If you have some plan where you're like the bare minimum, then I think you can.
it's a really good point. And, basically with exercise, we have three dials that we can adjust: volume, frequency, and intensity. And we can't just crank them all to 11 all the time, which is what people, I think the conception of working out is that it is this completely to the wall, every time, leaving nothing behind, you know what I mean? No days off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Always working, never quitting.
Exactly.
Never quitting. Yeah, it's like, yeah, you're just not trying hard enough, right? It's like, yeah,
But
it's
in reality, we can adjust any one of those knobs, so to speak.
Yeah.
We can dial down the intensity. We can dial down the volume and maintain the frequency, which might help to keep that that level of health and fitness where, where it is, until we can ramp it up again when we start to feel that it's doable.
And that's it. And then the point with that is that I think people think that to get an actual health benefit, they should be working out or moving much more than they need to be moving, or more intensely. And then, that the literature shows that if you work out, or if you walk 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week, that from nothing, from sitting on the couch and not doing anything, to just walking 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week, you have more health benefit than any, like, if you're, any more advanced, like anything past that. So if you're now like, I'm working out and I'm doing walking and I'm doing this, like, really that first bit has the most health benefit. So it's not very intense. It's not very hard, but it's like the consistency that of doing that. And I think that's where the piece that I think is really underappreciated is the consistency of doing something regularly.
Now it's circling back to working out and motivation. So everybody thinks there's this fictional motivation fairy that you get when you decide to work out, and that motivation fairy, I'm being silly, but everybody does feel like motivation should be there the entire time, and it's not. What we found here at Iron Lion Training is that we've ended up training a lot of couples, and those couples see success because they're supported. So having somebody who lives with you, or having a friend that you go to the gym with, helps support your goal, which should be consistency. Because when you don't feel like doing it, you know that there's somebody relying on you, waiting for you, going with you. Or if you're low, sometimes they're a little bit higher and they can kind of motivate you. I'm doing one to go out. So it's like, we've seen the benefit of that in our 4 years of having a physical space. And before having the physical space, we've seen that in other arenas where it comes to working out. So now if we were to take it even further back, how can we create those habits with our family? And one of the fun things that, we're in a virtual world now, where when I meet with people halfway through their workout, 2 of their kids will come in like maniacs and just do crazy things, or their cat will come check out who's talking on the magic box. And I just think I think there's an opportunity there, because the kids are now seeing their parents regularly working out from home and mimicking some of the moves that they're seeing. Sometimes parents will get a little frustrated because it's their personal time, but then maybe they should carve out some time that they show their kids some of the stuff they do, and they do it together. So we talked about walking being the base, just going for a walk in nature, and the health benefits and mental health benefits of that. So something like a Sunday night walk after a meal, or a Friday night walk before takeout, something like that, where you can talk about what's happening outside, talk about things that creates more opportunities that kind of open up other benefits. So now you are engaging in a meaningful relationship, being outside. Maybe your kids will be more likely to tell you things that are going on with them that you might not know about. They might feel a little bit more. For me as a coach, when I coach people, I have the superpower. People usually let their guard down pretty fast around me, but working out kind of takes away your inhibitions. So people are more likely to share things with you that maybe they were feeling a little self-conscious about in that space, because they're putting all this energy into movement, so they don't really have that energy to hold their guards up and hold.
Well, and then there's some endorphins. I don't know how much you're getting when you're walking, right? But why you feel better after you work out is because there is a physiological change too, right? So I know it's true, and I think that and then you're like, well, you don't need anything special.
No, very true.
Right?
I've often I've heard this with other families, the family dance party. You know what I mean? We put music on and we all dance for a while. I was like, wow, that sounds amazing.
Fun. Yeah.
Like my family, not so much. You know what I mean? But I think that's cool. And again, all you need is a song on, and run around and wave your hands in the air and do it like just don't care and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and depending on access, if you have access to the internet, YouTube has a ton of follow videos that you can do on the same dance. So Fitness Marshall is one that we've used here at ILT, where you can throw it on And fitness martial is a very fun way of showing dance in a non-dancey way. So it's not like dance cues. It's like walk like you love yourself, and then you walk like you love yourself. Like, so things like that that are fun, that make you giggle, that you can do with your family. So we talked about how to get your family involved. We talked about walking. We talked about dancing. What are some other things that families can do to make exercise a regular activity in their house? Like, no, so it's interesting because exercise wasn't a regular activity, but in our house, cleaning was regular activity.
So but like, was there a lot of movement involved? Was there a lot of movement involved in the cleaning?
Well, Saturday morning, my mom would play gospel music, and we would clean the house from top to bottom, and we all had our places of things we had to clean and how to clean our room and stuff like that. So it's like, that was a regular habit. So it's like, I feel like that habit, turning on music and being like, okay, we're all going to try push-ups, we're all going to try planking, or we're all going to try this thing together, would be a way to
absolutely
get the family involved.
Absolutely lovely, you know what I mean? And sport games can be in here also. You know, it doesn't have to be elaborate and or full of rules, but throwing a ball around or doing something that involves running about. You know, it's funny. Exercise professionals have said that if you were to describe a soccer game in terms of sets and reps to people, no one would want to do the workout.
Yeah.
It's like all those sprints and lunges and, you know, pedal backwards and run forwards, you know.
It seems like a bad idea. Well, I think it's a distraction, right? Like, it's like,
as a game, it's fun, right? You can have fun with it, especially if you don't get hung up on logistics and rules and, you know what I mean, hurt feelings, and
which is hard for families.
Bloating, and things like that. And maybe
no, that doesn't count because I'm making up new rules. Well, I think that's a thing. Is that I think some of it's modeling and some of it is just exposure to like just different things, and you know, and I think having a habit is part of it, where this is what we do, whatever, but it's like, I feel like there's now I think a lot of families and their kids are in, well, they used to be in structure. Now this has been more difficult with COVID-19, but there's been a shift to only structured or much more structured movement for children, where it's like you're in a class and then another class and then you're in a organized sport team and then there's another organized. So it's like, well, that's great, but I think just like normalizing, just like we're just going to move and we don't have to have a scheduled a thing where we're meeting up with other people and we're paying a coach or a class. Like, you could just do stuff that you enjoy to do, and then have does it matter what exactly, if there's an offside rule or not? Like, we just can play at the park. So I think that's the other part of it, is just like they're just exposed to a lot of different things, and they could find something that they want to do. And that's kind of my biggest thing right now, is just trying to find different things to expose my kids to, that they hopefully find something that they're like, that for some reason captures their interest, and then they go do it.
Awesome.
I've had the pleasure of meeting Helen's kids in boxing classes, so that's one way to do something with your family. I feel like boxing is great too, if you have kids or family members that have issues with anger. It's a safe environment that you have. You can let it out. You can punch something, and you're allowed to punch something, and you're allowed to make noise. And I know right now we're all shut down, so you can't go somewhere. But boxing is one of those things that you can practice anywhere.
Yeah.
And you can get really creative with what you punch.
Well, then you can tie in with music, right? And you do a great job with that, where you have music, and then and it's ties in with boxing, where there's a rhythm to it, and there's a movement, and so
for sure. And arguably, good boxing coaches have said the closest thing to sparring is shadow boxing. It's not punching the bag or hitting focus mitts or whatever, and anyone can do that anywhere.
Yeah.
So and that's a high level activity, really, you know what I mean, with a low level amount of equipment. So really cool.
But what we're seeing is there's definitely an opportunity. So we want to challenge anyone who's listening to take movement back to their family and try to make it a regular thing. Now, regular doesn't mean daily. You don't have to do it with them all the time, but once a week, try moving with them. 20 to 30 minutes, doesn't have to be very long.
Mhm.
Try to keep everybody's interests a part of it if possible, which I know can be a bit of a struggle when you have a big family and everybody has very different opinions on things. You might have kids that are into slime or World of
Yeah.
Warcraft or something that's virtual that you can't be a part of. And it's like, then how can you incorporate that? And that takes a bit of creative thinking. And if you have the bandwidth for that, go for it. But you can also cheat, because Google is a wondrous thing that you can just type in family fitness or family moving and you can get some ideas. I would suggest maybe picking 4 movements to do. If you're picking a movement, 4 things to try, have a regress version, which you can also Google. But if you're not sure what to do, you can also reach out to personal trainers. So right now, personal trainers, some of them don't own or operate their own fitness facilities. So they're training people in the park or training people via Zoom. This is an excellent opportunity to offer a different product as a trainer, which is family fitness, going into a household, talking to everybody, seeing what everybody's ability is, what they like, and structuring something that they can do on their own for 6 weeks, and then adjusting it every 6 weeks. So family fitness is not only an opportunity for families to get fit, it's also an opportunity for people who are struggling to find their way with the shutdown to help people and continue to help people gain healthy habits that are going to help us through this pandemic. And honestly, our base healthy habits, Ron and I, carried us this summer, which was a very challenging summer. And I keep saying that. And the 3 of us, Helen, Ron, and myself, created this program, Better You in 60, that started today. And the first lesson was shaping your environment. So shaping the things around you for success, knowing that you want to work out. What does that look like? With our members, we send out newsletters, reminding them to sign up for classes in advance that week. Pick all your classes because if you don't pick the class, you're probably not going to attend.
Take advantage of structure. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, and I think that's probably the biggest thing with people who look like they're motivated. In fact, that they just created a structure where it's like you know, it's like, you know, they say don't go to the grocery store when you're hungry, and then if you have a list of what you're gonna make that week and what you need to buy, and you have that structure, you're gonna much more likely be successful than just try to be motivated through the week to eat healthy when you don't have it there because you haven't planned ahead. So I think that structure component is really what looks like motivation, but it's actually the structure.
Definitely. And planning and daily movement are integral part of the initial segment of our 60-day program. So if you're a part of that, you'll see how that fits in together. So it's great that you bring that up. Thank you.
Also, if you're listening to this podcast and you're like, but I don't have kids, what do I do? You can borrow some kids, I'm sure. I'm sure there's.
Dude, just show up at the what do you call it, the park? You'll find some there.
Don't do that. Don't do that. We're just but if you can't find kids to hang out with, that's appropriate for your age. Or let's just take away.
You don't need children at all.
If you have pets, you can play with your pets. So Ripley gets the zoomies. She's here sleeping beside me, but she's a great partner for throwing the ball and running around with, and you don't have to run far. You can just run in circles with. But if you don't have somebody you can do that with, again, going back to music, pick your favorite songs, walk around a track, pick your favorite songs and say, I'm going to do this movement for the time that this song is playing, or like, there's lots of ways you can do it. And if you're completely lost, I highly recommend reaching out to a certified coach, personal trainer, to help you put together a program that works for you. Now, here at Iron Lion Training, we try to keep it fun. We have our structured classes, but every month we try to do something that involves your whole family. So this Saturday, October 31st, is our Halloween ball. So the Halloween ball will be part costume contest, part dancing. And we like to dance here. One of our coaches, Aziza, is I guess I could call her a pro dancer. She's highly trained and she leads all our dance classes. I do the dumb dancing. So if we have like a twerk session or whatever, you'll see me with that. But Backstreet's Back. I don't know if anybody remembers that Haunted Mansion video. Aziza has taken the choreo from that video, and we're all going to do it together. Aziza's really great with giving people fun dance cues like zombie arms and move like you're dead and stuff like that. I'm hoping you watch the video so you can see what I'm doing, but if you can't, you can just imagine. And that's going to be from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it's virtual. You can sign up by visiting our website and enrolling under enrollments. And the money is going to go to helping support the gym, but also 50% of the proceeds are going to go to Mia's charity, which was...
We will tell you later because we do not remember.
We'll put it in the link.
We'll put it in the link. I want to say it's
below.
It's not Move It, but Move Ball.
How good are you at editing?
I know, I'm so horrible at editing, so I apologize, Mia. I love you. I do know that it's for the Special Olympics and the kids in the Special Olympics to give them access to train and play, because they're missing a lot of that now with all of the COVID shutdown. So that charity I will document and put in. I'm sorry, Mia. I've been here since 6 a.m. Then I forgot the name of the actual charity. Yeah, so the Halloween ball. Here in Toronto, we're one of the flagged regions, so we haven't been told that Halloween is canceled, so there's no bylaw that you can't go trick-or-treating, but the city is strongly recommending that we not trick-or-treat to avoid spreading COVID. And I understand why they're doing that, because you always have a group of people that don't follow the rules, unfortunately. So I don't think we can leave it to... No, that's not it.
Sorry.
It's Motion Ball.
Motion Ball.
Yeah, Motion Ball is the name of the charity. Sorry, Ronnie's Googling and I just remembered. That's
Good
the charity. Sorry about that. Motion Ball is the charity that 50% of the proceeds of our Halloween ball will go to. Yeah, so Halloween ball, costume contest. The prizes are going to be dope. There's Iron Lion training swag. There are training packages that we are going to be giving away as prizes as well. And if you already have a training package or are already a member with us, you can gift them to somebody. So we do have a lot of promotions right now where we are gifting packages. So if you are having trouble moving, need some help, can't afford it, you can still reach out to us and we can still see how we can help you. Because that's what we like doing. That's why we're still here. That's why we're still open, is because we are passionate about helping people move, because there's so many benefits that we want to see you get rewarded with of going through movement. We mentioned the Better You in 60 that started today. One of the systems that Ron and I are using is Power Prep. So they are a meal delivery system that we've been on for a week, and we signed up for 4 weeks and we're going to continue. But it's awesome. You have meals ready. So if you're that person who does try your best, you get all the ingredients, you put it in your fridge, but then you go home and you're like, who's going to cook this? Which is what we have done many times and end up ordering Uber. The cost per meal, it's cost effective. You'll probably save money. You can still order because we still want to support restaurants that are also closed, but you can take it down to a week and it helps you make better choices. So Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays are busy days for Ron and I. So we have 2 meals a day from Power Prep, and we've seen such a difference in how we're feeling, and it's only been 1 week. So that just goes to show you, sometimes when you're not feeling well and you don't make the best choices, sometimes your choices can feed into how you're feeling. So simple choices like veggies, simple carb, protein can help with digestion, help with inflammation, help with sleep. And that's something that we're experiencing. But you can experience that as well through the Power Prep system. And if you use the Iron Lion training discount, you get a discount.
What? Wait, there's more.
Moreover, you don't have to use a food prep service. You can simply plan and or prepare in a way that makes sense for you. If you are one of those people, though, like Steph is talking about, who get home at 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night, and then the idea of starting to cook at that point is daunting, this can be a real lifesaver on days like that.
Yeah, and I think it's like if you have a lot, just if you have a lot of stress going on in your life and you have the capacity to do this, I think you'd be surprised how much you don't have to deal with trying to figure out what to eat that night. You don't have to figure out about cooking. It's just like it's there and it's a healthy choice, and you can then just you don't you've again it's structure, and you've removed a lot of the bottlenecks or the hurdles.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
absolutely.
the stress is a big part of it because way back in a previous life when I was boxing, I was so focused on that like every Sunday we would do a huge prep and I would make all kinds of vegetables, all kinds, and I would do that, but there was less stress back
Yeah,
then than there is happening right now. Right now, I notice a lot of folks are working more hours, um, dealing with the stress of, oh no, there's my throat sore. Do I have COVID? You know what I mean? Like that's the stress now. It's like
Sure.
any
yeah,
sniffle.
Mhm.
yeah,
If your
yeah,
kid has a sniffle, you can't take them to daycare or school. So
yeah.
there's a lot of like other stress that's piling up. So again, removing that off your figurative plate and outsourcing it can help. But you outsource what works for you. This is just something that works for Ron and I at the moment. But we also can help with making helping you decide what a better choice is. So sometimes having a chocolate bar is the better choice.
Yeah.
You know,
Versus five.
exactly. So sometimes it's not the best choice, but sometimes it's just what's the better choice in the situation and what you have available to you.
Sure. And foods are not inherently moral, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's not good to eat brown rice and bad to eat a chocolate bar. Do you
yeah,
know what I mean? Both of those things are fine. One is a more sustainable, cleaner burning fuel source, and the other one, if you eat it nonstop, it'll probably give you diabetes.
yeah,
You know what I mean? So like that's all you have to consider. It's not it's something that we'll talk about later in our Better You in 60 program. It's just dosage. It's not, the idea is not removing all bad, quote unquote, things from your
yeah.
life. It's metering them out in a way that makes sense for you and your lifestyle and your health, you know?
All right. So circling back to normalizing family movement, we talked about fitness and what that looks like to people, but also just stripping it down to movement and basic movement and having a minimum for your movement. So if you don't feel like doing your workout, you have something that you can do to keep you consistent on the habit of movement, because movement is important as the organisms we are to help. There are so many benefits to moving. And because there are so many benefits, it should be something that you introduce in your household somehow, that everybody in the household moves, not because they have extra weight. It doesn't always have to be about weight. And especially now, it's
Mm.
just about managing for a lot of adults stress, the extra stress of work, the extra stress of life, and not having our normal outlets to go to, whether that be travel, concerts, restaurants. We should turn to movement in this time. But there's also an opportunity to start that habit with your kids so that later in life, it's not a big challenge for them to adopt these habits and keep it consistent. This is something that I'm sure we've all heard about, like the freshman 15. It's like you leave your parents' house, you really don't know what to eat, you don't have a lot of money, you don't know what to do. So you're eating pizza at the wherever all the time. And then you get a little bit bigger and it's like the bigger portion is not the issue. And that's what people tend to focus on, the freshman 15. It's like, how can I perform better at school, sports, network, because that's also a big part of post-secondary school is networking with people. Ultimately, movement and food helps us show up better as people
Mm.
so that we can be kind. Well, hopefully, if you're a kind person, I guess there's mean people out there. Hopefully, they're not listening.
You
um,
can keep going. Don't stop and listen to this anymore.
this is not for mean people. But I know that sometimes you can, I've felt grumpy because my tummy's hurt because I've eaten something that I shouldn't have eaten.
Yeah,
And the way I show up is different than if I've eaten something that didn't upset my stomach and didn't upset me. Or
Mhm.
even
yeah,
moving, when I don't work out, I get a little bit cranky if I haven't moved for a while. and then be like, okay, yeah, I got to move. And then I feel better immediately. So these are things that can make you feel better. And if you're feeling better, you're going to interact with people better. You're going to have better experiences, hopefully, even though some of them, sometimes horrible shit just has to happen sometimes. But yes, and here at Iron Line Training, we try to facilitate that. And again, we're providing the Halloween Ball as a safe virtual experience for you and your family to take part in. And we really hope that you do. It's going to be a fun night, 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can find it on our website under enrollment. I will have a link somewhere. We haven't figured out. I guess there's Linktree, but it's just another thing to add to Instagram and social media, all the admin of it.
Yeah, sure.
But go to our website, go to classes, and then go enrollment, and you'll find it.
And that website, ironliontraining.ca.
CA. Thank you to our resident expert consultant, Dr. Helen Coleus. It's always a pleasure to see you, even though we just saw you. Well, I guess we haven't seen you for a while.
Yeah, well, Zoom. Good to see you.
And thank you for joining us, second week in a row. Thanks to Ron for joining us.
A pleasure.
Beard looks luxurious and majestic.
As always,
It's a very impressive every time I see it.
Always thank you to myself because I showed up. And we're thanking, I always make that joke at the end, but you guys got to celebrate, you folks. I got to get guys out of my vocabulary. Celebrate where you can, celebrate the small successes, celebrate showing up, celebrate consistency. These are the things that we haven't been groomed to celebrate. But you can, and it makes a difference, and it makes you want to keep going. So whatever it is you're working on, keep going. Get your family involved, get your friends involved. Thanks so much for listening. And this is the time where I say our famous catchphrase, which is...
#find your power in the pride.
Yay! Thanks for joining us today on Fitness Junk Debunked, Normalizing Family Movement. We'll see you soon, or I guess you'll hear us soon.
Oh!
Bye for now.
See ya.